So this one is about baddest, uh, the baddest monster in the universe. It's not my idea. This is one of those things that I wasn't advanced enough to think about to actually consider it the first time I heard it, because I didn't know what I'm listening to. It's like, please run that by me, because I don't understand this. It's the baddest weapon and the baddest monster. It is a baby's brain. When you see how this is true, excuse me. I don't have bird flu. I just woke up smoking. So, excuse me. What do you mean? Run that by me. What are you talking about? The baby's brain is a bad weapon monster. What are you talking about? Couple of reasons, right? When they drop, the second they drop, they arrive. The world is actually revolves around them. For if humans did not come to a place where they start to recognize that they have people depending on them, and there are a certain amount of responsibility, they can't have the aspect of the baby brain that still they have to it becomes something they have to exercise. Like, you gotta kill it. You gotta kill it out. Like, you gotta get rid of it, destroy, because you wouldn't have the race anymore. If the world still revolved around you in your adulthood, you would let the children like walk off into the woods to get eaten by coyotes. You wouldn't have them anymore. So it's like, is this a virtue thing, a religious conviction? Well, animals have religious conviction though. That's the thing. Everything hates being eaten. But you are what you eat, and in the next life, what you eat will become you. So, as a religious conviction, I'm gonna take your meat. I'm claiming you for the energy, or I'll die. But in the next life, you can eat me. That's like a religious conviction. And it's also eat to live, not live to eat. But back to the baby brain, right? And the pre-birth, post-death cycle, it makes you forget all your previous memories. Like, to think of coming back to Earth after losing all of, like, you wish you knew then what you know now. Why the hell would you want to come back to this place ignorant? Hold on a second, it's still running, because that first hit of weed freaking unlocks everything. Okay. So the baby's brain, like, who came up with a weapon like this? Do you know in the Bible when it says that Christ, the second coming of Christ, will bring fire? He will separate and divide people. Like, he'll set mother against son, and father against son, or mother against daughter, and he'll like all the stuff that he's talking about. Like, all that stuff would be the worst of the worst of any devils. And the devil isn't even that scary. There's a couple of demons that are worse, like Isis, or this one other demon would be like some of the way that in the Lovecraftian pantheon applies, that some of those are like way worse too than the Christian Satan. But the baby brain is worse than everything. You know, there isn't anything worse for somebody than to still be have the mental development of a child. or a baby or something like that. There wouldn't be anything worse for the race. We wouldn't even be able to procreate, and that's what it seems like these systems, that the religious systems we have are to rise the best way. So it still remains true if you come up with the best way, and having people leaving their doors open and believing their neighbor, their brother, their friend, or will never, try to dip off with their wife and make time, or exploit them in this way and that fashion, or do something sneaky. Similar to how God wagers with Satan that you are one of his true sons, right? Then you would never succumb to temptation. Like the way that is similar to the way that people in a society believe, then it was never any issue. There was never any problem with believing that. So you can't say that their beliefs are unfounded and they have no reason other than they're being told and controlled, because that's how they came to the belief in practice. So it's a trip. How do these like fundamental religious countries get to be secular too, right? Like because religiosity and scientism are on two opposite sides of a spectrum that it overcorrects, and because if one went the wrong way, the other one goes worse, then you never get rid of either side. You have the religious, you have the fundamentals, and you have the secularists, and it's still swinging, because we did not ever come up with the perfect way to procreate, right? This is still like one of the better ones. Then it isn't the worst, right? Scientism, but like if you get away from spirituality, you get something else drops in. So it's like it'll be like that. It'll be like a new age tangential or some kind of pseudoscientism. And so you're on that pendulum. You're just swinging back and forth. If you're way over here and you think that this side over here there's something so wrong with it, then what are you going to feel like when you swing back over here? You need some understanding is from people over here that are non-judgmental, that can have a deep introspection, so they understand what happened when you swing over here. All it does is make them lazy, though. Like the scientism went to the extent of like not wanting to teach the next generation what their skill, their trait, their vocation, or whatever. They don't. Boomers don't teach their profession. They don't. There's something where they work for someone else other than the family anymore. Then that's what happens after like some quartermaster type of barren post industrial efficiency and productivity age, where there's still no explanation for why there is poverty, why everybody has to work to the grave. Anyone who can work, you never stop working. And why is it necessary for people who like can't work to find some kind of job when like it's near impossible or damn impossible? Then they have to come up with like some kind of creative way to make an income, usually dealing with like resins and stuff like arts and crafts, and they gotta work. It's because the quartermaster is satiating the barren classes with like, who stand in the way of our institutions getting the resources that's cut out for them forever. because it's like a brain rot, hungry, feasting mycelium, or mycelium feasting on brain rot. It's blind and locked into a cycle of consumption. It's just blindly eating forever. It's just forever, ever blind and eating. So you gotta sprinkle some kind of powder on them that kills it. Like, you gotta do something to destroy it. It's never going away. They're never leaving. They keep something over the horizon that never comes to fruition, recharged and like an expectancy for people to await for it and waste their fruitful years or their good times. Like, they're getting energy from you somehow. They're converting it in some way. We don't know how to do it. So, because we can't understand it, because like we lend to think that there is a sinister motivation, but it turns out that it's a control and it's something else. So they're not sinister motivated. They're controlled. They're blindly consumer, and that's what they think of you for being curious about whether or not you could do something scary, like being more Christian. Why does that scare me? It seems like logically that would save you energy and make it possible for you to live more richly, but fucking until you understand that, then it's like scary. So why do you believe then? You're blind. You're blind. Jump out of the pen into the fire. And the fire that you already came from, that you already know more about than choosing not to help someone who suffers from the same misconceptions that you used to, is actually better for them than trying to help them. Help is too prompt. It arrives too soon. Plus, you're not actually their support. They're not you being their support. You know what I mean? It's like they're controlled. So don't put any mental energy in trying to figure out why or what they're trying to do. They don't even know why they're trying to affect who they're trying to affect. If toxoplasmosis can make a mouse run toward the cat, then it is trying to get to the cat. The mouse hates the cat because the cat eats it, but what happens when the mouse runs toward it? What do you say then? It's not controlled? Okay, it's not controlled. Okay, you getting on my last nerve. That's what happened to get on your last nerve. If you don't want anybody getting on your nerves, because it doesn't do anything to correct one person when everybody's going to appraise the situation in huge chunks of people at once. That's going to influence the decision and give some of those migration cues to people that want it. They're like flight risk or something. It's lip service. You're paying lip service. It's like if they told you to persevere, then they must be on your side, or they must want you to persevere because they told you. Like, and it goes like that with everything. Religion, science, everything. Like, don't let somebody with inferior understanding like lecture you if what they are reverting to now is a political drive-by. Like they make an assertion, not an attestation. If they knew what an attestation was, they would question their assertions and look at it a little bit harder. Sooner or later, they would arrive at the orthodox approach to interpreting or dissemination. They would finally look at it in orthodox perspective. Not, does that sound like I'm pushing Jesus? All I said was orthodox perspective, as opposed to unorthodox, not as opposed to not Christian. And so there's going to be people like that are going to fly at you when you're hitting on something and because they want to polarize you between this duality shit. They want to polarize you with duality. Like, if you don't agree with me, you're an opposite of this, you're an opposite of that, you're an opposite of me, right? It's either this way or that way. But those aren't the people that are here to tell anyone what side of the fence to get on. They're going to be told by huge sections of the population that are all wondering at the same time what they're looking at. Don't believe our lying eyes. Before I knew what a standalone bill was, what it was I thinking that I was asking for then? What was I negotiating with the progressives that have a different evaluation or a different equivalent set of values than you're going back and forth over, and they are praising everything in materialistic terms, and only materialism, and you're looking at things in terms of duty and responsibility. You can't be talking to each other. You don't get a choice to walk down the street with them like, oh, that's your chick? Like, oh, like Missy Elliott said, that's your girl, that's your chick? Like, I didn't know that you can't have even a vast difference in, because you know what it turns into? It's like, should women submit to, like, should they take a seat to their husband's, like, I don't know, given an authority in a relationship or something? Like, should they take a seat? I don't even want to be in a relationship where I got stressed at. I don't even want like that, because it's like that's not the fun part of it. You know what I mean? The fun part of it is everybody sees the two people happy and love each other and everything, not who's gonna take a seat to. But that's part of showing it though, because freaking that baby brain, man, it's a bad weapon, monster, mamma jams. But you know that only women can relate to the baby brain. They have to. Men cannot do baby talk. Like, some men can do it, but just because they have the ability to do it, does that make it right? But men have to, because when the baby grows up, they don't talk baby talk forever, but the mother is stuck in baby talk land, and that can whittle away their sanity. Like they'll be, you know what I mean? So somebody has to go and get them out of the trance. It's like that. Like, they have to get them out of that, because it's crazy land. I've said all these things before. All my videos have repeating themes in them. If I'm talking about it, it's not because you're too stupid. It's because it was hard or difficult for me to think about it at one point in time. Just like, who was I arguing against that we shouldn't have pork spending bills before I even knew what a standalone meant? Like, did you mean to tell me that the government can actually set aside resources and for a single problem or issue that society wants to address it? They can do that? I thought we lost the technology. We lost the technology to do that. You need pork. And the people that the Baron class, or not even them, it's the one above them, have to fight their fight for them. It's not some, like, you would think, like soldiers and all the king's men. It's your mom and it's your siblings, and it's, or it could be your dad, or it could be your wife, or someone is your wife. I will never submit to your authority. Like, are we having this discussion? Like, you have to even mention that there's the authority? Like, just submit. Or just leave. You don't get a choice. Because one thing that people do is they ask for advice from their friends, and then they go back and they share the advice that their friends gave them with the spouse that they're fighting with. When they get together, they sharing it, and then they go back to normal, like hanging out with your friends and their friends, and fucking, you don't know what simmering stew, beef stew looks like.